All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here. This is Carrie. She is the associate executive director here. So good to be with you all on this Saturday night. And to all of you online people, we're glad you're joining us. We're glad you're part of this community. And to give you a reminder, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. What we do here is break the silence of addiction while creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And there's always one thing we don't do in this community. You can shout it out on the count of three, all four words. 1, 2, 3. We don't do shame, but Carrie is going to tell you about some things coming up that you might want to know about.
Hello and welcome. If you guys are new with us tonight, we would love to get to know you guys. Just outside of these doors after service, connect with either one of our home team members or a staff member, and we can get you one of these welcome bags. Inside the welcome bags, you'll find some fresh roasted Wagon coffee by the amazing Tammy Candidate and all of her staff at Wagon Coffee, as well as some free swag and our Connect card. The Connect card is how you get signed up for our newsletter, how you stay informed of who our guest storyteller is going to be, and all the different events that we have going on through the week. It's a wonderful way to stay connected, get connected, and for us to continue to be reaching out to you guys. Next up, we do have a recovery. Yep, I wasn't sure which one it was.
You're still learning.
I'm still learning. The Recovery Garden is starting on June 22nd. So what we're doing is on Sundays, we have a guy, part of our community. His name is Michael, and he is starting this recovery project, or recovery garden project, where on Sundays you don't have to have any experience in gardening, but it's a way to have community, be of service, and kind of make new friends. And so it's going to be on Sundays starting the 22nd from 10 to 11:30. So it's 90 minutes. It's a great way to, like I said, be of service, make some friends.
No, people, raise your hand if you like to garden. All right, look at this big group we're going to have next Sunday. It's going to be beautiful.
And it's early enough in the day, too, so it shouldn't be too hot on these, like, crazy summer days now, right? So that's kind of nice. Next up, we have Rest Week. Yes, so on July 5th, we will not be here. We do this twice a year, the week after Christmas Eve, as well as 1 week in July. So on July 5th, the cafe will be closed.
And that's a Saturday night.
Saturday night. Ryan and I won't be here on a Saturday night. We will still have the meetings as normal. So if you come here on a Saturday and participate in one of the meetings that we have, the building will be open, but the staff will not be here.
So no service.
So no
Saturday
service.
Night. Don't come. If you do come, you can just
have a
hang
meeting.
out in the building.
Have some quality time with your friends. And next, we're going to bring up our friends over here.
Danny Colella and Jerome Eichstead, come on up. And let me give a little proper introduction here. Yeah, let's clap for them. Danny Colella is our digital content director here. All the videos you see when you see them online, all the series videos, images, that's all Danny's creation. Danny was our very first person we brought on board here at Free back in 2019. It was me, Tammy, and then Danny Colella. So he's been with us. He's an OG here, been with us from the beginning. And then, of course, many of you, I think all of you know Jerome Eichstead. Jerome's on our board of directors here and organizing the golf tournament and doing all kinds of things. But they're going to tell you about some good news tonight. So I'll let you fellas take it. You got it?
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for that. Good to see you, everyone. I'm Jerome. Sorry about my appearance. I am a little swampy from slinging coffee bags.
Yeah,
and if you guys don't know, they're only 130 pounds each. And the kids told me I couldn't do it. I wasn't big enough. I proved them all wrong. I got all 10 of them in the office by myself. What I'm really here to talk to you about is a substantial grant we received from the state of Colorado. We received a $145,000 grant I think that's something worth celebrating. They have entrusted us to provide education, support, and awareness for gambling addiction. So what does that mean for us? And very few things are going to change for us. We're going to add something to, but we're not going to take away from. One thing that's really clear to us, we just want to be transparent. on where we're going because this addiction is so silent. Statistically speaking, there are people in here struggling with gambling addiction, and it's not known to the person you're sitting next to. So we're here to hold a safe space for that to come about. Priority one is that we host a gambling addiction meeting, a 12-step meeting for people struggling with gambling addiction. There's a specific 12-step structure for them. We'll be bringing a group to free during the week for that. The second one will be a group for loved ones, Gam-Anon. So it'll be for loved ones and family members of those affected by gambling addiction. The third priority for us, is the fly.
Flies like stink.
Yeah. Got me. It's sniffing on my ego, huh, right? From those coffee bags? Yes. So the other one is we must host, wow, 2 panel discussions. Those panel discussions, one will be of the perspective of the gambler struggling with addiction, and the other will be an expert panel, so experts in the industry who treat gambling addiction. And then finally, the fourth one is...
the letter to addiction.
Yes, the video
problem gamblers.
Storytelling series. Holy cow. The video storytelling series from the perspective of the gambler as well. So we'll do 4 separate videos over the course of the next year. So you will start to see those things out in our social media. Danny will tell you more about those. I just wanted to let you know what we're up to. And it's very important that we hold space for people to share their experience, strength, and hope, just like you see on Saturday nights. So we're fortunate enough to have that this evening. But that's all I have. Next up, Danny.
Yeah, and they chose this community. I want you to know that. I invited the director of the Colorado Division of Gaming to tour this place. And by the time he finished and got into Ryan's office, he's like, look, we have this money. You guys have to apply for this grant. Because there is nobody that does addiction awareness and support as good as us in the country. That's true. We've shown that, and we're going to do that here again. And the one thing you need to know about gambling addiction is this is not just like we used to know it, where people are going to casinos, spending too much time at casinos. This is where it's at now. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with you and your open opportunity to gamble. And some of the populations getting hit the worst are young people, right? Young people who've been doing fantasy sports for the last 10 years in their drafts. And they come into life feeling like they have it figured out. They got a plan. Who was dumb from 18 to 25? Me, all of us, right? And they're really getting into some trouble. And this community is going to do a good job. You don't need to know anything about gambling addiction right now. That's our job to start bringing you in. But what we do know is that when we educate this community on what's actually going on and how to support it, we do know that we create a sales force of people that are out there to help other people who are battling it or love someone who is battling it. You guys have done a lot of great work. It is cool to be sober, is it not right now? It is cool as hell to be sober right now. But that's not the case for problem gambling. You're a loser. You don't know what you're doing. All of these really low emotions hit these problem gamblers real hard, and they're about 20 years behind this movement with substance. All right? So as a community, I just want to empower you as we start talking a little bit more about this. There are going to be people right under your nose that are going to develop this addiction. And we're going to help educate you on the resources, the tools, and the support to make sure that those people don't get pushed to the side. So thank you for being a part of this community, and thank you for supporting this mission as we start talking about it over the next 12 months. And just like Jerome said, we're not leaving anything we do. We're just welcoming an addiction in here that we know is affecting our community.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Jerome. You want to give that to... Yes, thank you both for leading this project. It's going to be an important one for us. All right, y'all, the way we get started here on a Saturday night is we start with celebrations. And so important for tonight, and I'll talk more about it, but why we start with the good, why we start with celebrations even when it's difficult. So that's what we do. That's how we start on Saturday nights. We take 3 minutes for this. Colin will have a mic on this side. Brenda will have a mic on this side. We take 3 minutes. Maybe you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or a birthday or the new thing in your life or your recovery, the new job, new homes, new babies, whatever it is, we celebrate it all here. God joins with us in these celebrations. It's a profound part of our time together. If you're online, drop your celebrations in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, and we will celebrate with you there. For those of you in-house, just raise up your hand and they'll get you a mic. Let's take 3 minutes. This time is yours.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey, and today I have 7 months clean sober.
Way to go, Jeffrey. Proud of you, dude.
Hi, I'm Cassie, and I'm celebrating my friend coming with me.
All right, we'll celebrate a new friend in the house. Awesome. Welcome. Glad you're here.
Hello, my name is Matthew. I have a little over a year and a week clean from alcohol.
All right, way to go, Matthew.
Hi, I'm Thomas, and I'm celebrating a new job with Valiant Living.
Way to go, Thomas. Congratulations.
Hey, I'm Danny Kalala, and I just want to give a shout out. We have an OG with us in the room. Drew Bickford, stand up. So Drew originally helped at the old building, launched this entire thing, and he really was instrumental in even getting this to where it is today. So another round of applause for our OG.
OG in the house. Love you, buddy. Glad you're here.
Hey guys, I'm Sarah. I wanted to introduce my fiance Alex to all of you. It's his first time here, and we got engaged 2 weekends ago.
All right, welcome, Alex. Congratulations. We're not going to be too creepy and creep you out too much. We're just glad you're here. Congratulations. All the way in the back. 2 in the back.
Hey, I'm Katie. This is my second night serving at Free Cafe as a volunteer. Y'all are pretty awesome. And I just hit like about 120 days.
All right, Katie,
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you for volunteering at the cafe.
I'm Julie, and I want to celebrate my daughter and her family moving into a new home this week.
All right, congratulations to them. Hope the move is going well.
I'm Ray, and celebrating our son Walker being here from Alabama tonight. It's our first time as a family at church together.
All right, man. Welcome to all of you. Glad you're here.
My name's Brenda, and this past week was nothing short of terrible, except for the fact that I am employed now. So, yeah.
We'll celebrate that, Brenda. Yeah. Congratulations.
I know.
All right. Thank you, Colin and Brenda. Tammy, you want to join me up here? Thanks, buddy. Here, use this one. Tammy Canada is going to join me for some online celebrations.
Hi, guys.
You want to take the first one?
Yes. Or your screen is looking a little bit funny.
We're green. We're on
Okay.
it's the green screen. All right.
Oh, Tony says 30 days sober.
30 days sober. Paul, Colorado Springs.
Awesome.
Way to go, dude. Happy 30 days. That's a big deal. Christy says, celebrating my new friend's mom coming home from the hospital and doing well. God is always good. Christy,
Awesome,
we're celebrating
Christy.
that with you. Yeah.
Glad you're here, friends. And Laura says, thankful for the friends and connections I have made through my recovery journey.
Yeah, Laura, we'll celebrate that. Keep connecting. Glad you're here tonight. Okay, thank you, Tammy. Yeah, you can just throw that on the couch. All right, y'all, we are, we're in the second week of what we're calling this Summer Grind series. We wanted to keep things a little less structured and open to many possibilities, but we're calling this the Summer Grind.
Your fire, sapphire.
So on Monday of this week, I had all my sermon notes laid out for tonight, this Saturday night. In fact, the message I was going to give, the title of it was Stop the Cap. And if you don't know what that phrase means, well, you're going to have to take out your phone and Google it and find out. I didn't know what it meant either. My 14-year-old daughter dropped this phrase, and I was like, what does that mean? Really important message, I believe that. But here's the deal. We're going to put that on hold for a little bit because, well, I'm doing something a bit different tonight. So we'll save that one for a later date. And the reason for that is on Tuesday morning of this week, we received a very difficult phone call. And this week, and I know for many of you in this community this week, your heart has been heavy. So I decided to just totally change directions. And the truth is that some days, more than others, I really hate this disease of addiction. I can tell you I'm a grateful alcoholic, and some days at the same time, I really hate this disease of addiction. On Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m., John and Carrie Allison called. And I know many of you know John and Carrie Allison. They've been part of our community, part of this free community since the very beginning, our first meeting at our old location. They've been part of it. And they called to let us know that they had just lost their daughter, Tawny, to a fentanyl overdose. And Tawny was only 34 years old. And some of you also know that Tawny, she's been part of this community too from almost the very beginning. In fact, it was back in 2020, we were like in the just earliest days of free. We had just gone live stream online. Before that, we were just meeting with like a few of us, and then we decided to live stream because this thing called COVID hit. And in 2020, a guy I was working with, a friend of mine, Tilden, he builds things, and I asked him to build a custom-built wagon so we could do baptisms in it. That wagon lives just outside these doors. And a couple of weeks before he had it completed, Tawny comes up to me and she says, "Hey, I heard you talk about baptism. Could I be baptized here at Free? Would you baptize me?" Tawny was one of the very first people baptized at this free community. She was in the first round of baptisms, and this week I came across the old baptism video in our early days. It was 2020, so I was wearing the mask, but here's part of Tawny's baptism.
Now, Tawny, you said at baptism that you wanted this to be a symbolic way for you to start afresh, to start anew in this community. You wanted the community to know that you were committed to this community and to the mission. And I know it hasn't always been easy, but you've been here from almost the very beginning. You and your family were some of the first ones to walk through the doors of Free. And you're staying on the journey. You're clean and sober. You got a new sponsor. And we're so proud of you, and we're so glad to have you part of this community. But I've got some questions for you. I've got some questions for you. Tawny, do you acknowledge that God is always the one who offers new life to us?
I do.
And do you acknowledge, Tawny, that God's grace and love has been with you throughout your life from the very beginning, from the moment you were born, and will continue to be with you no matter what?
I do.
And Tawny, do you confess that you are not damaged goods, but that you are a beloved daughter of God? Tawny Allison, I baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Woo!
Yeah. If there's any doubt, let's just make it really clear. Tawny was not, never was, never will be damaged goods. She was always and always has been and always will be a beloved child of God. And I want to say to every addict and alcoholic and every loved one of an addict or alcoholic and every spiritual refugee who's gathered here tonight or who's watching online tonight or watching throughout the week, you are not damaged goods. You never have been, you never will be. You are a beloved child of God. Always have been, always will be, no matter what. It doesn't matter your past. It doesn't matter your present. And listen, I do know some of the shame that y'all bring into this place. And I want you to know you are totally welcome here, but your shame, it does not belong here. And the truth is, yes, Tawny battled this disease of addiction. She battled it for many years. She would come into recovery, but she didn't totally grab onto it, and she battled this thing, and she tried. She gave it her all. She battled this disease, and now she's at peace. She's not suffering. She's not struggling. She's in good hands. In fact, I would tell you she's in the best hands. And I know this one, this tragedy, this loss, it affects many in this community. Because the truth is, yeah, it's going to be heavy. It's going to have an effect because you've loved them. And John and Carrie were here at the 5 o'clock service with their family. Drew, you saw Drew. Drew and Tawny have a little baby together. Yeah, it should have an effect because you've loved them. You love Tawny. And one thing I know about this community is you are going to be here to show up and support John and Carrie and the rest of the family in just tremendous ways of love and support. Why? Because it's who you guys are. It's what we do here. And tonight I just want to share a few thoughts on finding the good and being the good and why it's so important, especially now, even when it's difficult. But before I get there, I do want to just take a moment and speak briefly but very candidly to this disease of addiction. Because see, the thing is, some of you might be just kind of flirting with recovery. And what's that look like? It looks like when you just kind of stick your toes in, you dip them in, but then you take them out because you got this and you're good and you can do this. Yeah, until you can't. Until the disease gets you. And if that's you, I want you to know, well, first, we don't do shame. You are totally and fully welcome here. But there is another thing you need to know. We have to come to understand this disease of addiction. It is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it always seeks to take life. It is the greatest thief. And this thief will always seek to rob you of joy, of peace, of relationships. It wants your life. I mean, the truth is, it wants you dead. And I have people in my life that I love right now that are doing exactly that. They're just kind of dipping their toes in recovery, and then they step out, and then they step back in. And man, sometimes I want to shake them and say, do you get this thing? It wants you dead. It wants your life. And your families, the people who love you, your friends, the people who love you most, they are affected by this. They watch you suffer. They stand by and suffer. You know, we have to confront one of the greatest lies we tell in addiction. We say things like this. We say, no, it doesn't affect anyone else. It just affects me. I'm only hurting me. I'm not hurting anyone else. And that's BS. It affects the people that love you most. And if you're someone dabbling in recovery, well, listen, I will never tell you what to do. But I will constantly remind you who you are. You are created by God, loved fully, loved totally. You are good and you have tremendous worth. I like to remind this community of that ancient Hebrew word tov. It's T-O-V, and it translates simply to good. In fact, this word tov is used 7 times in the opening creation poem in the very first book of the Bible called Genesis. Some of you might remember it. God creates things, and then God stands back and says, man, this is tov. This is good. God creates more things, and then God stands back and says, man, dang, this is tov. This is good. And then God finally creates humanity. This is in the poem, of course. God creates humans, and God stands back and says, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, this isn't just tov. You are supremely tov. You are supremely good. That's where the story starts. Now, the life and the teachings, the ministry of Jesus, always pointed to who God is and what God is up to in the world. And I'm reminded of some words that Jesus says in John's gospel because it reminds us who God is and what God is up to. Here's what Jesus says in John's gospel. Check it out. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. My brothers and sisters, do you believe that God desires for you to have the fullest kind of life? Do you believe that the thief of addiction has taken way too much from you? Then maybe it's time to stop dabbling in community. In recovery. Maybe it's time to actually jump all the way in. And I get it. Because some people say, no, Ryan, dude, you don't understand. And I get it because I've been there. You don't understand. It's really scary. I don't know how to jump all the way in. Because if I jump all the way in, what's it going to be like if you take this substance away from me? How am I going to cope? What's it going to be like if I don't have that behavior anymore? And how am I going to handle life? And everything is going to be turned upside down. And I'd say, yep, you're absolutely right. It might be the scariest thing you ever do. And yet, in my experience, when you make that jump and you jump all the way in, see, grace, it's always this thing that pools down at the very bottom. It's there waiting for you. When you jump in, grace is the thing that catches you. Grace is the thing that becomes your landing pad. Yeah, I know it's scary. And I do need to say one other thing before we get to finding the good and being the good. And it needs to be said. Fuck fentanyl. And some people are saying right now, oh, you're a pastor, you shouldn't use that word, especially up front at the pulpit, you should say that word. And do you know if my kids, because maybe my kids, 2 of them are in Florida, they could be watching right now the live stream or later in the week. If you were to ask my kids, if that word comes out of my mouth and you were to ask them, why do you say that? I'm very confident my kids would tell you things like, man, something is really wrong in Poppy's world. Poppy is really bothered, something's wrong. And they would be absolutely right. Yeah, something's really wrong. So we keep losing young people. We keep losing people to fentanyl overdoses in this community. Yes, something's really wrong. 107,000 people died last year of an opiate overdose, most of which was due to fentanyl. Yes, something is really wrong. And do you know, to every message, every DM, every email that I get, and of course it would be none of you in this room, probably none of you watching right now online, but I will get an email this week. I will get a message. Every time I wear this shirt, someone says, you're a pastor, you shouldn't wear that shirt. Don't you know who you are? You're a pastor, you shouldn't do that. And do you know what I want to say to them? Man, please, before you hit that send button, go sit with one mother, sit with one father who has recently lost their son or daughter to a fentanyl overdose, and then if you still feel compelled to hit the send button, then by all means do so. But never should we assume God to be so petty as to ask us to pretty up the ugliest epidemic. Never should we be so petty as to assume that God is so petty as to care more about a word than caring about the 100,000 lives who are lost and the families who are left behind suffering. And see, if you were to read through the scriptures beginning to end, you would notice this overarching theme. You would catch it very quickly. It's the theme of a God who is always found weeping with the suffering. There's this theme of the God who is always found standing on the side of the hopeless and the broken, which leads me to believe, if Jesus were here with us tonight, I believe this with every bone in my body, that Jesus would be wearing this shirt with us. And I believe we might even find Jesus weeping. But not weeping because of this word, weeping because the 100,000 lives, and weeping for the families, weeping for Tawny's loss. And see, my brothers and sisters, keep finding the good even when it's really difficult. Find it and name it, and I know that's the hard part. And I would caution you, be very careful with the God stuff. Be very careful if you are in rhythm, in sync with God, because what you'll find happening is God is giving you gifts. Gifts you didn't even know you needed. Gifts your heart didn't even know how to name, but these gifts, they will hold you up, and they are the gifts that will sustain you when things are most difficult. And by the way, what do we do with these gifts when we find them? We simply give thanks. We give thanks. Do you know, when I received that phone call on Tuesday morning, man, I scurried around the house, and I was brushing my teeth, and then I went downstairs, and my wife Tammy was downstairs, and I said, man, I gotta go. I'm headed to John and Carrie's house. And she looked at me and said, I'm going with you. And the truth is, I have sat with many families in times of tragedy over the course of my years in ministry. And the other truth is, Tammy and I, we do a lot of things together. We do a lot of things in ministry together. She's been a great partner. But usually when it comes to this stuff, it's me. And sometimes I think God says, nah, you don't have business doing some things alone. You ain't doing this one alone. So we get in the car, and we start driving to John and Carrie's home, and it's only an 8-minute drive. We've been there several times. And do you know, when we pulled into their neighborhood, I pulled over on the side of the road because I couldn't hold myself together. And I didn't want to show up like that. And I said the words out loud. I said, man, I can't do this. I can't do this right now. And the problem is, I can't do this because I know the grief and the pain that we're about to walk into. And the problem is, I love these people and they're friends. And John and Carrie are friends. And the problem is, I took a class in seminary, and I'll never forget it. The professor was gone that day, and a church leader was leading this class. And do you know what the church leader said? He said, if you want to be a pastor, you cannot be friends with your community. You can't be friends with your congregation. You must set up boundaries. You are their pastor, not their friend. And I remember hearing it that day, thinking to myself, man, if that's what being a pastor is, I cannot be that. I cannot be a pastor. The problem is, they're friends, and this is going to be hard. And be very careful, because God will start giving you gifts you didn't even know you needed. And right there on the side of the road, Tammy, she put both her hands on my arm, and she looked at me in the eyes, and she said, we can do this. Yeah, we can do this. So off we went. It was just like that day 12 years ago when Tammy came down the stairs, and I had no idea how to stop drinking. I could not put down a drink. I was a hopeless alcoholic, and she comes down the stairs with an empty bottle of vodka, tears in her eyes, and she said, what are we going to do? And that was the day of my last drink. You see, what I know is, in your weakest moments, God finds a way to whisper to you, you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And it is the greatest gift we can receive in this life. It is the greatest gift we can receive in recovery. It's the greatest gift we receive in community, that no matter where you are or what you're going through, you're not alone. We can do this. And see, that gift of realizing that you're not alone, I think it's what allowed the Apostle Paul to write these words from behind the walls of a prison where he was being held unjustly, being unjustly accused. He wrote a letter back to his community in Philippi, and he started the letter with these words. This is in the first century. I thank my God every time I remember you, because of your partnership in God's message from the first day until now. My brothers and sisters, we are partners in the journey. If you're here at Free, that means we're partners. And the only requirement for membership here at Free is a desire to belong. If you have that, you're in. We're partners. That means we lock arms and we walk together side by side. You are not alone, and this is a good gift. Keep finding the good, and every time you find it, just stop and thank God. And see, now as much as ever, I want to encourage you, this Free community, not only to keep finding the good, but keep being the good. And see, for all those moments when you feel inadequate, all those moments where you are questioning your self-worth, all those moments where you get stuck in a story of who you aren't rather than a story of who you are, let me remind you in the words of Jesus. You are the light of the world. So let your light shine before others. Man, isn't that crazy? I mean, have you ever thought of yourself as light? And by the way, what does light do? The light, you shine in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it, not even death. Do y'all know it's why every Saturday night from the beginning, every Saturday night, we start with celebrations. We start with the good, the tov. We lift up the tov because you are the tov, which means every time you are brave enough to take the mic and celebrate 1 year, or we had 30 days, last service, 1 day. Every time you're brave enough to take the mic, you are light shining in the darkness. You are saying no to the thief, yes to the fullest life. You're showing others that it's actually possible. You're that light in the darkness. And every time that you are brave enough to make yourself available and walk with others, you are becoming light in the darkness. You are saying to them, hope is still alive. To the one who is wondering if hope is even real, you're saying to them, here it is right here. And finally, being the good, well, it looks a lot like showing up in love. Because the truth is, why is that important? The truth is, you don't always know what the other person is going through. You don't always know what the other person, what was brought in their day. You don't always know what the other person is carrying. And some of y'all are thinking right now, oh my goodness, is he going to share the cake story again? No, I'm not going to share the cake story. I think I only need to share that story when we have forgotten kindness or forgotten what it looks like to be kind. And you do know the world could use a bit more kindness right now. The world could use a bit more gentleness. And the beautiful thing is, you get to be that person. But I do want to say a word to my fellow addicts and alcoholics in recovery, to give us a very simple reminder, and maybe this reminder is for all of us. Every time you're tempted to start giving your advice to the loved ones, every time you're tempted to tell them things like, well, if you would just set up some boundaries, well, if you would just give them, the addict, consequences. Well, if you would just show them tough love, and please spare them your wisdom, especially if they didn't ask for it. And even if they do ask for it, tread lightly and with lots of grace. I mean, take a moment and think about it. Do you think they have considered boundaries? Do you think they have lived boundaries? Do you think they haven't wrestled day and night in here and in here with consequences and what that looks like? Do you think they haven't wrestled with tough love? Man, the loved ones that I know, especially in this community, they are fighting like hell to do the best they can. Lots of grace. And isn't it interesting, in the moments of the final moments of Jesus, I mean, he had just been betrayed. He's getting ready to be executed by the state and put on a cross. Isn't it interesting? He's talking to his friends, and we would expect him to maybe talk about like building up the defenses, maybe talk about getting the troops together, maybe just a bit of insurrection towards the Roman government. Save his life. Instead, he talks about this. Let me give you a new command. Love one another. In the same way I loved you, you love one another. And you say, well, I don't know exactly what that means. It just sounds kind of foo-foo, and that's hippie Jesus, and what's it mean to love? Well, maybe we should consider what Jesus didn't say. Notice, Jesus didn't say, fix one another. Jesus didn't say, you know what you need to do? Go to one another and drop your wisdom bombs on one another, because we love to do that, don't we? Nah. He said, love one another. Let's keep it really simple. And the truth is, most of you in this room, most of you joining us online, you have experienced deep wounds. You have experienced, some of you, the worst kind of pain and trauma. You have experienced addiction, and you've experienced loss of all kinds. And what do you do with it? What do you do with it? Do you just hold it all in? Just maybe bandage up the wounds and pray to God no one finds out? Or do you allow those wounds to speak hope into the lives of the others who need it most? You're not alone. Yeah, you're not alone. Yeah, you're not alone. That's love. That's good. Keep being the good. Had a different song picked out tonight to play after this message. And then this afternoon, Carrie, Tawny's mom, she texted me and she said, hey, we're going to be at the 5 o'clock service, but I've got a song request, and it's a song that really meant a lot to Tawny. And the name of this song is Fight Song. So take a moment and reflect. Here's Fight Song.
That resembles Tawny, too. That's kind of nuts. All right, so we're going to move into the guest storyteller portion of the night, and I'm really excited to have somebody who's going to share their experience, strength, and hope around problem gambling. So, Micah, I'd like to welcome you to stage. All right, so we have, for the first time since I've been doing digital content here at Free, we have 2 sober dates on the screen. So Micah has an interesting history. He's one of us. He's battled sobriety with substances, and he's also battled problem gambling. So he's got 2 sobriety dates we're seeing up here on stage. But for Micah, for anybody that doesn't know you in our audience, just let us know a little bit about your journey, a little bit about you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Micah. I'm an alcoholic and an addict and a compulsive gambler. I don't do much public speaking, so if my face turns red in my shoes, please don't be worried. I'm okay.
It's normal. It's normal.
It'll go away at some point. So I have a little bit of a unique experience where I go to AA. I go to those rooms and I've been sober, but I've also struggled with process addiction with compulsive gambling, which isn't always understood as well as AA. I think they have a lot more of a history, so it's a little bit easier to explain. But yeah, I've been a compulsive gambler, and it can be a hard thing to connect with people sometimes, so more awareness is great.
I love it. So as we can see up here, you got clean from gambling in 2013, then substances in 2017. You've done all kinds of drugs.
All the drugs.
Can you name off a few that you went through on your pain journey?
Yeah. Prescription Oxycontin, morphine, fentanyl, ketamine. That was a big one for me. I did a lot of different things, and I did a lot of them. It's so weird. Like with gambling, even though I'm not putting anything in my body, it was still the strongest high I've had, even compared to all those drugs I listed. It just like your brain floods with dopamine, just like when I was doing opiates, and it could last for days sometimes. And the hard thing is like so closely tied to the winning and the losing was like my self-esteem, my self-worth. So when I was winning, like I felt worth something. I felt like a big shot. I felt important. And then on the flip side, when I was losing, I felt like the worst person in the world. I hated myself.
Yeah, and to put a little perspective on your gambling journey, this was something you started at an early age.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about how you got started with gambling. Talk a little bit about how this looked like an opportunity for you in your life, just so people can get some perspective around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I started gambling for money when I was 13, and then by 16, it was definitely compulsive. 12-hour days, didn't graduate high school. I just kept telling myself, I can make it big. It's like I might not be winning now, but I'll keep grinding, and sooner or later I can turn it around and make a career of it. Essentially, it was a real dream world that I was just chasing, just trying to make a living off of it. So it started just kind of like a low key thing, but it just became worse and worse and worse. And
What would you say is some of the worst moments, kind of your rock bottom moments? Other than the 10 to 12-hour days, which sounds pretty hard.
Yeah.
But what were some of those rock bottom moments that you had that kind of let you know that you were kind of done?
There were lots of things leading up to it. With my gambling, like I felt powerless over it. My life was unmanageable. And like one example, I was sober at that point, and my grandpa was in a coma. He was on his deathbed. My dad's by his side, crying, and that was too real for me. I couldn't do that. So I pull out my laptop in the corner of this hospital room and I start playing poker because I didn't know how to handle life on life's terms. So I just needed to escape, essentially. So there are all these things that like I did that were not the true Micah, not the person at my core, but the addiction. And it ultimately led to where I spent all my money gambling, as well as I sold anything I had of some value. I would pawn it for pennies on the dollar, just to get enough to play a little bit more and chase that dream.
So kind of this never-ending cycle, just like you experience with drugs and alcohol, just doing whatever it takes to get that next high. And it's so interesting to hear you say that for you, that was a bigger high, you know, bigger than ketamine, bigger than fentanyl. This was a bigger high for you. And I think it's important for the audience to know, too, this is something that affects about 1% of the population. So about 2.5 million people are at risk right now from some real serious gambling harm. Gambling disrupts families. It ruins marriages. It has one of the highest suicide rates, right? Especially for men. You know, if you're a man and you've gambled away your family's inheritance, your house, your wife now started getting letters about you're being evicted, a lot of men choose that way out. And this is a conversation we're going to keep having here on how important it really is. You got some friends with you here tonight, huh?
Yeah, I got a couple people here. Some coworkers and things. It's really cool.
Yeah. So let's talk about how things have worked now that you've kind of gone through. Did you do actual treatment for gambling, or how did you overcome that?
No, I didn't. Up until like a few months before I actually went to GA, I didn't know there was such a thing. I didn't know there were other people like me that couldn't stop and that were like leading their life in destruction because of this. And it was just, it was through like a peer support that they're like, well, why don't you go to a meeting? You've done it for other things and it works and you like it and it helps. Why don't you do that? And yeah, it's been eye-opening, man. I found these rooms and I went in broken. And when you go to these meetings, they ask you 20 questions.
Yeah, let's throw those up on screen so you guys can kind of see these 20 questions.
Yeah, and basically it's to help you kind of determine if you think you might be a compulsive gambler. They say like most compulsive gamblers will answer yes to at least 7 of them. And like the biggest one for me, was number 20, which is, have you ever considered self-destruction or suicide as a result of your gambling? And like you said, yeah, it's one of the highest suicide rates because you just keep going and you don't see like the body shut down. You don't see somebody having cirrhosis or turning like jaundice. We can just keep saying everything's fine, everything's okay, all while hiding this destruction behind us. So for so long, I would go to meetings and I'd tell people like gambling's not a problem. It's just about the math and the skill of it, but not telling them that like I was losing a lot of money and not really wanting to live anymore because of it. And I think it's really scary right now because with the legalization, you see sports betting ads everywhere, and they say free money and like free bets, and I think people are doing it, younger people, and most likely making money at first, and they think this would be a good job if I could just click some buttons, make some picks, and like make millions of dollars. But yeah, there's no such thing as free money. There's a reason they do it. It's because they can make so much money off of us.
Yeah, and again, even up here at this community, we're not saying that sports betting's bad, gambling's bad. That's really not the approach we're taking. Just like alcohol isn't necessarily bad, it's your relationship with alcohol that is really bad. So, we were talking a little bit earlier, most people are betting these parlays, and a big reason these parlays are being bet is why? Because they're one of the highest statistics that someone's going to lose. And I don't know in the room who made bad decisions from 18 to 25, but I know I did. Brain not fully functioning. And what we're really seeing is that these college-age kids, these kids that have been playing fantasy sports for the last 10 years of their life, well, they get into college, and it looks pretty cool to be a successful gambler right now, right? And they feel like they have an advantage, but do they?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I think it's, now especially, it's targeting younger people, college age and everything, and it's, and I definitely don't think, like, everyone is a compulsive gambler. I think there's people that can do it like a healthy person, like a normie. But then there's people that they can't just do one bet, because that one bet leads to another bet and another bet, and you're just chasing this constant rush, the action. So yeah, my hope is that there's awareness for it so that people can either stop before it gets too far, or if it does get too far, they know where to go. So they're not people that are coming into the rooms at 50 because they didn't know it existed, and they have nothing. They're retired and they have no retirement. and they're losing everything. So it gets really, really bad, and I think that's what's super scary, is just how low we can go before we finally stop.
And again, this is the second time we did this talk. I don't know if I said this to you guys already, but this isn't just about casinos. Everything's right here. Everything's right here now. So this is how people access it. If you feel like you have a problem, you put this away. You put an app on your phone to help you figure out how not to get to it. Well, then you figure out how to get around it. But, you know, your journey's been awesome. And talk a little bit about what you do now in your recovery, where you work, and how you support other people.
Yeah, so I work for a treatment center, Valiant Living, and it's cool, man. It's the same place I went to myself. So I'm an alum there, and now I'm staff, and it's a full circle. It's cool to see myself and all the people there. It's unique, I think, because they focus not only on drugs and alcohol, but also process addiction, so things like gambling. And it's cool that we're able to target it all. And yeah, there's a miracle that happens in the job, and it's so cool to be able to see people come in, and I see myself in them broken from gambling or drugs, and to see them 90 days later, it's a transformation. It's a miracle. So it's a real gift to be a part of.
Yeah, so Valiant Living is a great resource. There's also a resource here in Colorado called the Problem Gambling Coalition of Colorado. They offer free therapy to anybody that might be struggling. Because remember, a big reason for telling these stories and really kicking this off is to get you guys involved as our outreach people so that you guys know where to direct people if they're battling something like this. One thing that kind of struck me early when I got into this side of the addiction space, the process addiction space, I always wondered why people weren't sharing the dollar amounts that they lose. And I heard some great reasons behind that. Do you have a reason behind why a lot of people don't share their dollar amounts or what they actually lose? Because I'm sure you're sitting in the stage, the audience like I was, like, how bad did it get? How much did you lose? But why don't we share that?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, at least speaking for myself, it wasn't really about the dollar amount, it was the action that I was experiencing from the gambling. So for me, I could be gambling all my money, and it's all my money. But somebody could be a millionaire and also gambling all their money. It's just relative, kind of. And usually it ends to getting to zero. So whatever you started at, it just didn't really matter. It was just more of a number to keep track for me. But at the end of the day, yeah, I was addicted to that action, that rush, and that dream.
Yeah, and I've heard other people say the reason they don't share that number is because they don't want you thinking, well, I haven't hit 50 grand yet. I don't have it that bad. If your life is unmanageable and someone's life has become unmanageable, that's a great time to really decide to start to reach out for help. So for anybody that's on the bubble, like maybe somebody's in here, they know somebody who's kind of battling this. What kind of advice would you give for somebody that's either battling this themselves, either online right now or in person, or somebody who loves somebody who's battling this?
Yeah, so I check out the meetings. I mean, we have support groups here for gambling. You're not alone if you feel that. And I would say worst case scenario, you go to a meeting, maybe you don't think you have a problem, but you at least met some good people. And you know where to go if things ever do get worse. So they would ask the 20 questions to kind of help you determine. But yeah, I would just say check it out. Worst case scenario, you make some new friends. And then if you're a family member, they also have support groups for family. And that's really big because I think I know I put my parents and my brothers through so much fear and chaos and the unknown of like what was going to happen to me. Was I going to stay alive or was I going to end it? And they were able to go there, my parents, for a long time and find that support and then ultimately share with other parents that were coming in brand new and able to help them kind of navigate the really uncertain time.
Yeah, and it's important to know that, again, I said this early on, that now it's cool to be sober. And it's not cool to not be successful in gambling right now. It's got a lot of shame tied to it if you're not really good at it. So, and it's also something I wanted to kind of let you guys know that I talked about 1% of the population, but there's about 7.5 million people, 7.5 to 10 million people who are on the cusp of gambling harm, meaning that they're having a poor relationship with it, they're suffering consequences from the action, and it's really starting to invade in their own personal life and their own personal success. So it's important to know that this stuff is around us. This is something I didn't do last session, but I'd love to see. Does anybody know anybody that sports bet or they talk about their parlays? It's pretty common. It's not abnormal now. It's actually very common. that people are really talking about sports betting. It's really starting to rise because of our ability to have access to it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you guys are helping people at Valiant with these types of process addictions, what's some of the support that they have when they come through a program like Valiant?
Yeah, I mean, like they get, like Valiant specifically, really great therapy, really good groups, really good peer support. And then like there's things you can do to help kind of have some of those blocks between you and that bet if you are not wanting to gamble. So whether that's software on your phone, dumb phone essentially, where it doesn't have internet, or you can do self-exclusion, so you can go onto DraftKings and self-exclude yourself so it's not legal actually for you to ever bet with them. So there's things you can do to kind of make it a little bit harder to get to between you and that next bet.
Yeah, I think self-exclusion is a big one because that's a little different. You can't self-exclude yourself from bars in Colorado, but if you are having an issue, you can contact the state of Colorado, and they can put you on a self-exclusion list. Or like you said, every individual app, DraftKings, FanDuel, Bet365, they all have that option as well. I will say we're doing a lot of work in the industry so that they're not targeting or giving free bets to those people that say they want to do that. We still have a lot of work to go on that type of thing because they are sending those promotional emails. But no, I really want to thank you, Micah, for being here. I think, again, the point of having Micah here is he's kind of that dual diagnosis person. He gets it from the substance abuse side, but then he's also somebody whose life has become unmanageable from the problem gambling side. So, dude, I really want to thank you for being authentic and being here on stage. Every week we have a guest storyteller that comes in and talks about substance, whether it's a loved one or somebody themselves. I got to say, I talked to about 10 people before I got to Micah that as soon as they heard that this was going to be streamed, they were young people. They were like, oh, no, I can't do that. I don't know what job I'm going to get. I don't know if somebody's going to see this and they're going to think, oh, you're a problem gambler? You must be horrible with money. We can't hire you. This is a wildly stigmatized condition. Wildly. People are not always open to just discuss this. So, Micah, I just want to say thank you. This is a brave thing to do this early in awareness, to put yourself out there and share your story. But like we talked about, this isn't about you. This is about somebody that's watching right now and needs the support.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
So I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Micah, for joining us this evening and sharing your story with us. And yeah, you know, the whole time Micah was sharing, I was thinking of the movie White Men Can't Jump. One of my favorite films, and you're watching Woody Harrelson, Wesley Snipes. You all know this movie? Yeah, one of my favorites. And he keeps getting these big wins, and then he loses it. And then he'll do the same thing, and he loses it all. And I'm watching it. Even recently I watched it. And it's like, this guy just, why can't he stop? I mean, he gets this big win. While he's talking, he's like, he has the same thing my brain has, just with a different thing. Yeah. So thank you, Micah, for hitting that home, making the connection between a great film and me. I mean, yeah. And I'll say this, I said this last service. Do y'all remember Dr. Lacey Brewerman? She's still connected here at Free, but she moved away to Texas. She was on our board of directors. I will never forget, Danny and I were together, and this was back in 2021, our old location. She said to us, she said, hey, your mission is breaking the silence of addiction. She said, you need to be prepared and stay aware. Gambling addiction is the new dopamine dump, and you're going to be hearing about it. People are going to be coming to you. And I remember at the time thinking, oh, no, that's not us. I don't struggle with that. And yet, here we are. So thank you for bringing awareness to this issue, Danny. Grateful to have you here. All right, y'all, shall we, we heartaches. Yes, the way we close things down on a Saturday night here is very similar to how we begin. We begin with celebrations. We start with the good. We lift up the good, but then we close things with what we call heartaches. Because maybe you've been carrying burdens, hard things, and you've been trying to carry them alone, and you find out that you don't have to. Not only do you not have to, you suck at doing it alone. That's why we have community. That's why we have a God who hears the cries of the people. So we take 3 minutes for this. Again, if you're online, if you're joining us on YouTube or Facebook, just drop your comments there. Brenda will have a mic on this side. For those of you in-house, just raise up your hand and speak that heartache into the mic. Colin will have one on this side. If you need prayer, some encouragement, some lifting up, that's what this 3 minutes is for. So let's take 3 minutes. This time is yours.
Juanita Johnson. I've been part of this community for some time. I've been fighting addiction for many, many years. I was in a car accident in May, 5 broken ribs, fractured sternum, found out that I have the beginning stages of cirrhosis. My daughter is also having seizures while she sleeps. She's on medication for that. I am now facing my 22-year-old son to prison over drugs and guns. It's just been one thing after another. So I'm just asking for some prayers.
Yeah. Prayers for you and stay connected in community. Don't leave here tonight without talking to someone.
Thank you.
Lots of resources here. I'm glad you're here.
I'm Paige. My grandpa's in the hospital with a kidney injury, and they're doing dialysis, but yeah, his blood pressure is being weird and stuff, so just prayers for him and for my dad.
Yeah. Lifting up your dad and grandpa, Paige. I'm glad you're here.
My name is Derek, and it's my first day here, and I'm having a problem getting over my father passing away, and I just don't know how to get past that for like 7 months now.
Yeah, dude. I'm glad you're here. Prayers for you, man. Prayers during the grief.
Good evening. I'm Tom, and I'm sitting here with my wife and my beautiful daughter, and we are close personal friends with John and Carrie. And it's unfortunate that it's brought it right to the very front of us again. We lost our daughter Hannah 2 years, 325 days ago to a fentanyl overdose. And it's like reliving it all over again.
Yeah.
So thank you for free, and thank you for supporting us during our challenging times and all the way through. Thank you.
And let me just say, I'm so glad you guys are here. And the way support works was, I knew I could call Tom and Connie and say, this thing happened again to John and Carrie. And that's what support systems look like. Thank you for opening yourselves to that.
My name is Cassie, and my mom, after winning a battle of having blood clots that were too big to operate on her brain, we have found 2 more blood clots on her brain, and we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Cassie, prayers for your mom. Lifting her up tonight. Did we have one more? We got one more.
Yeah, this is Cy. I have a client who's in Texas tomorrow. He'll be spending his first Father's Day as a single father. His wife passed 2 weeks ago from a drug overdose, and I just want to send some prayers down to Texas for my friend Curtis. He's really, really struggling with this.
Prayers for them tonight. Thank you for mentioning them, Si. Do we have one in the back?
Yeah, my name is Ray. I lost my friend Heather to addiction this week, and also my 95-year-old grandma fell and broke her pelvis in 2 places, so we could get some prayers for her.
Yeah. Lifting her up, and you, Ray, glad you're here tonight. And losing people to this disease of addiction. That's why we're going to keep doing what we're doing. Brenda, do you want to join me up here for our online heartaches? Did he cut you off already? You can come on up. Come on up while you're talking.
Yeah, it hates me.
Let me see it.
Never mind, it loves me. I was going to say we didn't say anything about fathers the first time around, and then it kind of popped up. So as I said about mothers, the ones that are on this planet for fathers and the ones that are not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Nope.
Shall we join our online people? You want to take the first
Yeah,
one?
I've never done this
You
before. This
haven't?
is fun.
It's real easy. You read their thing on the screen, but you take the first one, then I'll go.
Okay.
All right.
Pamela says Steve's son is a merchant marine. He and a crew of 20 are docked in Bahrain. They were supposed to be evacuated, but someone dropped the ball. They are now stranded on an American ship, unarmed, with 3 days of food. Please pray they get out safely.
Prayers for them, Pamela. Steve, lifting them up, man. Glad you guys are joining us tonight. Jonathan says prayers for the families affected by addiction. Yeah, Jonathan, we're going to lift them up all night long as we've been doing. Glad you're here, brother.
Kristen says, please lift up my brother Paul, who suffers from a gambling addiction and anger issues.
All right, Kristen, prayers for Paul, lifting him up. Glad you're here. Jerome says, rest in peace, Tawny, Allison. We miss you and love you, my friend. Love and prayers to the Allison family. Yes, we will all be holding them closely, not only tonight, but in the days to come, and the support that is going to be needed. Thank you for that, Jerome. Michelle says, is this one mine or yours? Yours. I just went.
I get the long
It's been a long
ones.
night.
Yeah, I know. Michelle says, can we all please pray for Israel and my family in Israel? They have spent the last 2 nights in an underground bomb shelter with their children. We are lucky they have a safe shelter to be in. There are some that are not so fortunate.
Yeah. Michelle, prayers for all of them and your family and the fear they must be living in right now and just the times of uncertainty. So prayers for them. Glad you're with us tonight. Thank you, Brenda, for joining me up here. Want me to take that? Absolutely. All right. Oh, thank you, Colin. All right, y'all, if you have been impacted by this mission of breaking the silence of addiction, if this is your community, or as Tammy calls it, the tribe, if this is your people, you should know we are very much reliant upon your generosity here. I know many of you give, and you have made it a spiritual practice in your life. You've made it a sacrificial practice in your life. It makes a big difference here. And even if you don't give here, please give somewhere so you can remind yourself it's not all yours. There's great value in generosity. But if you do want to give here, we are always grateful for it, and we very much appreciate it. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can download the app, Free Recovery Community. All of our content's on that app. There's a giving button there. You can give one time or weekly, monthly, however you want to do it. We're grateful for all of it. Or you can go straight to the website, freerecoverycommunity.com, and there's a giving button there. And there are 2 giving kiosks just outside these doors for those of you in-house. And it's for cash and checks if you still do that sort of thing. And the final one is the Kind kiosk. It's a one-touch system. It's a very easy and fun way to give. If you want to give that way, we'd be most grateful. And again, this is the thing that allows us to keep expanding the mission, keep expanding the work of breaking the silence of addiction. So thank you for being a part of it. Shall we go out with a prayer? Yes. Yeah, if you want to join me in just opening up the hands, just a simple sign of openness of, maybe tonight it's really simple. God, help me see the good. God, it seems dark. Give me the eyes to see the good. And God, help me be the good. Help me love other people, even when it seems difficult. And just take a big, deep breath. Remind yourself that God is always moving in our midst, breathing life in us, through us, and all around us. And if you don't know the Lord's Prayer, it's on your screen. We'll pray it together. Who's always with us? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Grace and peace to you all, and we will see you next time.